Oh, welcome, team, to our Marathon Talk Boston special. Yeah, Boston special, people. I'm joined by my colleague, Hayden Harbord, the man who has run Boston twice in it, bro.
I've done it twice. Yeah, lucky enough, done it
Sod,
twice.
lucky sod. But yeah, we're talking about Boston today, Marathon Talk, and we're going to be talking about some other stuff that Hayden has told me that I should be aware of. So that's what we're going to get onto. But I do want to hit Boston early doors because this should be going out, fingers crossed, like week before Boston or around Boston, basically, which looks like it's going to be, bruv. I reckon, I don't know, the biggest Boston, I would say, in terms of like what's going on. I think with running like in this golden era, I think you're going to see so much stuff around Boston this year from the brands, activations, like loads of cool people doing it, and obviously the race itself and the history and all that sort of stuff. But I think it looks like it's going to be the biggest yet, right?
Yeah, and I think as well they've made a couple of changes as well. They've increased the waves. I think now where they've always had, I think always had 4 waves. Now they've up that to 6.
Wow.
So they're listening to things and improving things all the time. So I agree with you.
Sorry, bruv. Does that mean that they've allowed more people in? Or
I don't think they have. I think they've just spread them out more rather than getting
Right.
all them people sort of through in one go. They've just spread them out more. That's all.
Okay, so explain that a little bit more in terms of how those waves work for anybody who's maybe doing Boston for the first time.
So predominantly the waves work. The first wave that goes off, the very first one is your elites, and they go off early. They go off about, I think it's about 9:30 or 20 to 10, and then I suppose what we always call the masses. Everyone else goes off at 10 o'clock. They start at 10 o'clock and you go straight through.
Right.
And they put you in the waves in your qualifying time.
Okay.
The faster you are, the faster you've qualified, the nearer the front you are. Your charity runners and your sports international packages people, they tend to put you more in the back wave.
Right. Okay.
So that's the way it works. Which the idea of Boston being that it's a little bit more of a pace-focused race and marathon. So
makes sense. Yeah.
You're going in the order, and it's not one of these races where people can say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to put down that I can run a 3-hour marathon when I can only run 4.5," because they know the answer to it because you've had to qualify.
Yeah, and again, that's one of the, I would say, some of the magic of Boston, I would say, and I think that's what for the purists, let's call it. For me, that's one of the magical things about it, and that's why I'm so resistant to taking a free bib for it. As I said to you a million times, where I'm sitting here currently, it doesn't sit right with me. If Adidas rung me tomorrow, or our friends at Sports Tours, I'd say no.
So
no, I would.
It's a strong call.
I would.
Fair play. Fair play.
I would. Again, that might change like year on year, but sitting here currently training as hard as I am, working my ass off to try and get faster and fast enough to be able to qualify. I don't want to take the easy route, which I could do, based on what I do, let's say, and rush things. There's no need to rush things. And if I never end up doing it, I never end up doing it. That's, that's on me, right? That's the thing. I'd actually, in a sick way, I'd actually like, you know me well now, I'm the sort of person who actually get probably more enjoyment from turning around and saying to somebody, no, I'm not taking that place, than actually taking it. I probably would. It's true, though. It's fair comment, isn't it?
That's fair. I've got a question for you. I'm talking about Boston qualifiers, actually. Yeah. So let's just say, what is qualifying time for you, your age group? What are we looking at? 3:15?
I think it's 3:15, so I've got to run 3:10. Good luck with that.
This is the question. So let's just say you go out at London and you run 3:14.59, but then the cutoff is 3:09. So you don't actually get into Boston. Would you still class your London time that you run as a Boston qualifier?
No, because I didn't get into Boston.
But you've run a Boston qualifying time.
Run a Boston time, but I'm not on the plane, am I? I'm not sitting there with my bro using his Afios points, drinking their coffee, which I quite enjoy.
It's an interesting question. Is when you're training these people, a lot of people obviously appreciate we're doing this in the UK. In the States, people train for Boston qualifying times. They have coaches for a year just to get a BQ.
I'm coaching people for that.
So from your perspective, when you're coaching, if you was coaching yourself, do you coach yourself for a 3:09, knowing that 3:15 won't get you in?
Correct.
Okay, interesting.
I don't try. We use Ben because he's easy, right? Everyone knows Ben, yeah. Obviously, I coach a lot of runners, but we use Ben because he's out there in the we we put Ben in a situation where we knew we had to get a big buffer, which is allowed him to go back, next year after his injury, because Chicago was a strong run. We built that time into what he needed. So yeah, no, I 100%. That's why I've always said that it won't be this year that I run a BQ, because I've got to run 309 basically. I'll make you laugh. I'm, in my mind, the only way I'm gonna qualify for Boston, in my mind, which is the wrong way of looking at it, but this is my autistic way, so you just have to deal with it, is I'm looking to train as though I was training for a sub 3 in terms of volume, workouts, ethos, everything, how that looks. And that, will start to, and be patient, will start to kick in at some point. I'm not saying I'm going to run sub 3, but I train like a sub 3.
So really, you should get the Runners World edition. That's
yes,
the Harry Styles training plan.
Yeah.
Sub 3.
But no, it's true. I think, as you get quicker.
Good point.
Obviously, when I coach people for sub 3, it's time. It's time on feet. So when I'm sending them out and they're doing 6, this is where made me laugh about Wilco the other day. But running 60, 70-mile weeks, it's not so much. It's all relative because it's the same time on feet because they're running faster paces. An 18-mile run, not been horrible, 2 hours, 2 hours 10, something like that. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and yeah, we're running everything super easy because marathon goal pace 6:40 or whatever it is per mile for a sub 3. You need to be sharp to be able to run those. So everything else is super easy, but it's time on feet. So although, yeah, I'd have to run like, realistically, probably peak mileage of about 80 miles, but let's say consistently, starting off at 50 miles and then building 60, 70, 80 miles. But my time on feet, which is what I've always said with Ben, is probably the same. Yeah. So I cover, like last year's Chicago block, I was covering the same time as him in terms of on feet, but he was doing more mileage because he's a quicker runner. That's what people forget. They go, oh, he's doing 60, 70, 80 miles. He's going to get injured and all this, but it's relative, isn't it? Because his paces are different and he's doing different workouts. So like today, 12-mile run for me, that's the sort of staple diet of what the week would look at. Nice, easy 12-miler.
Easy 12 miles. Bloody hell.
I know, it's mad, but that's the sort. But the thing is, I mean, I got held up, but my plan was there for around an hour, 35 minutes, hour 40 roughly, not pushing it too hard. And that's where I need to get to be able to run that consistently on top of the tempo, to make sure the threshold workout's there. And the other speed sessions that build part of that. So you've got to look after yourself, do the strength work, do the recovery. There's a lot that goes into that, and it takes months, years to get there, and patience to get there. It's a gradual thing, unless you're like blessed with some massive amount of ability, right? That I don't, because I came into running late, or I came into marathon running later. It takes a hell of a lot of time to show the consistency that you need. Sub 3 marathon runners that I coach, they don't take, like, they're always training. Yeah, the volume goes down, the intensity goes down, but the consistency is still there. The consistency of running low mileage weeks is just as important as the consistency of running the high mileage weeks. Still doing the gym work, still doing the nutrition. Yes, we need downtime. Yes, we need recovery, but we're looking to peak for one race. But we're always training. We're always training because you need to stay on top of it. Because that's you start to lose that top end where they've got that amazing chassis of aerobic base, but to get to that sort of insane levels of those paces, that top end, that sort of fine bit up here, that's where all that other stuff adds up. Yeah, and that's the key, and that's what I say. Going back to the conversation, that's where I need to get to, and that will take time. But yeah, sorry, we've gone right off on a tangent.
This is marathon talk. We're talking about training for marathons.
Running sub 3 running sub 3 marathons. And as I said to you, you can't rush it. You can't rush it at all to go into there. As I said to you, with Ben, it was basically a year and a half or whatever it was. And it's, we have to take things nice and steady, nice, slowly, have a plan, long-term plan, and work towards it.
Yeah.
which is effectively what I'm trying to do. My goal is not sub 3. My goal is to run Boston. But I feel like I'm getting towards that point where I start to feel like I need to start training like a sub 3.
Yeah, I get it.
Because it's 3:09. Which will change obviously when I get 50. It's a few years yet, but when I get 50, that threshold changes a little bit.
Get an extra 5 minutes. That's what I've got now. Mine's gone up now to 3:20. But again, I'd probably have to run 3:14.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, isn't it? It's you're always chasing it, but your body's getting older. There's more restraint on your time and all that sort of stuff. It's harder to dedicate the mileage and the output that you need to train at that level. And unless you're like blessed with this unbelievable ability, you've got to be so consistent at what you're doing and across all manners of what you're doing, whether as your cross training, your nutrition, all that side of things. That's what goes down to hitting these sort of times to be able to qualify for Boston. Unless you take the easy route and you buy a bib, or you do stuff on social media, which I think dilutes what Boston's about. That's my own personal opinion. Everybody's different. Everybody deserves different chances. And by the way, I don't have a problem with people buying charity bibs. I think that's actually something I don't have an issue with. I think
if you buy a Boston charity bib, you've got to have a lot of money in the bank.
That's what I'm saying to you. So, but most importantly, the charity is going to benefit. As somebody who's always run London for charity, and to do my bit for charity, it's the one thing I do for charity every year. It's for me. That sits weirdly, not weirdly. No, that sits okay with me versus this rhetoric I go on about qualifying for Boston. And it's mainly because, as I said to you, I hold it in such high regard because I think it takes a lot of dedication to train for any marathon, any run really. But because Boston put this time restraint on and to get into it, I respect that. And I respect what that stands for, which is why it inspires me to try and push myself. Again, that could change. Listen, my attitude could change in 6 months. You know what I'm like.
Everyone's like, don't you think it's pretty ironic as well that out of all the marathons and the world majors we look at, Boston is actually the slowest qualifying time out of all of them. But it's the point. It's the point that you have to qualify, whereas the other ones you can get in other ways.
Yeah, look at London, right? Look at London. Look at the time. The Tokyo time is mental.
I know it is absolutely mental.
Sydney was tough in terms of qualifying times. They're all very different. I think Chicago's probably the second easiest, isn't it?
It was until last year. I think last year they brought the time down by quite a bit. But previous to that, Chicago was always on par, same as Boston. But I think now they've gone about an extra 5 minutes. So yeah, Boston's one of the easier ones. If running that sort of time, you can't be easy. No, of course it's not.
There's no way you can. Go back to Boston though. For anybody who's going out there, is there sort of how would you describe the course to those people in terms of running it?
Do you know it's different to other marathons because it's a start to finish point. There's no loop bits, there's no crossing back. You don't get to see anyone going the other way. You start at one point and you finish 26.2 miles at another point. And that does play with your mind a little bit. So I run it last year and I run with my wife. Yeah. And that's one thing that she really, really noticed. And she didn't particularly like. She felt as though she was always going one direction, going one way, whether it was up, down, wherever it was, we're going in one route. She found that a little bit boring, if I'm honest with you. For me, myself, I like it because I think it's different to the other ones. But yeah, it's a good point. The route is entirely different to all the other six, 7 majors, definitely.
And obviously, it's famous for its hills. How would you compare I've done obviously New York. How would you compare the hills of New York to the hills of Boston?
I think they're different because Boston, you start off going downhill. Yeah, there's a few rolling ones where they start to go up a little bit, but predominantly you come down quite a bit. Then you go flat for a while. The thing is, the 3 or 4 hills, 2 of them in particular, that hit you really hard, they hit you later on. We're talking 17, 18 miles. We're talking Heartbreak Hill at 20 miles. So you're at that point where we all know people that run a marathon at 20 miles, you're digging deep. It's playing with your mind and everything. To look up and see a hill that is bloody steep at 20 miles, that can be a kick in the nuts. And I think that's why it's got that sort of that thing about it where people say Boston is so hilly. For me, overall, I think New York with those bridges, because there's so many, it's definitely on par, if not a little bit tougher.
Well, how does that hill, Heartbreak Hill, compare to, that hill or that elevation as you go up to Central Park, on the outside of Central Park,
Oh God, yeah.
which is about mile 24, if I remember rightly, at New
Just
York?
before, yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that feels like a long
Everest.
way.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's the difference. I think you just summed it up. I think it's elongated, so it's longer. So you're climbing slower with Heartbreak, and there's one before it in Newton. They're steep. I'll be honest with
right.
you. I can't dress it up in every way. They are steep. They're steep hills. They don't go on particularly for as long as the New York ones, but they go on for long enough, and they are
Yeah,
steep.
there's enough there to take it out your legs, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
Yeah, it's like hitting a
definitely.
rope. Just to wrap up, bossing, because I'm conscious we've got so much to talk about today.
Yeah.
Um, let's say 5 important tips for
Yep.
anybody doing Boston for the first time. They've been amazing. They've qualified. They're going out there, or they listen to this in the US, and they're rocking up to Boston first. What's sort of 4 or 5 sort of important pieces of information you'd like to
One
partake?
of one of them relates to what we just spoke about because of the hills and them hitting you later on. Do not go out too hard at the start. It's downhill and you're going to feel like you're amazing. Everyone around you is going to be roughly the same pace as you if you've time qualified. So they're all going to be running probably at your PB, your fastest time you've run. Everyone's going to be running the same time. So that's difficult. Don't go out and hammer too hard and just think I've got to
Mm,
keep going because it's net downhill and it's going to do your quads. You're going to get to mile 20, you
okay.
start going uphill and it's going to be hard. So that's a tip that everyone always says about Boston. Don't go out too hard. When you get to the expo, you get 2 bags. You get a big bag, you put a sticker on, and you get a little bag as well, both see-through ones. The big one is what you put all your gear check in, all your stuff that you hand in at the finish line, and then you get bussed to the start line. The little one is the one you keep on you, and it's so important to make sure you take yourself some snacks or your breakfast or whatever you want to eat there because
Mhm.
you get bussed in 26 miles. It takes about an hour on the bus. It's an old school
Right.
bus, the yellow ones, and you're going to get hungry. And then you've got a couple of hours sometimes at the start area. So you're talking about 3 hours from when you drop your bag off before you get to that start line. So I think it's important to take some snacks or something. That's why they give you
Good
that
advice.
bag, which is
Good
good.
advice.
I would say, honestly, look out for the screen tunnel. That's the best bit of the whole course. It's at about mile 12, 13. Wellensdale, I think that's how it's pronounced, college, where predominantly it's a tradition where they used to come out and cheer on their own people from the college. But over the years now, the students come out and just go absolutely
Mental. I've
nuts.
seen it.
They scream and they want to hug you.
Mm.
They want to kiss you. Enjoy it. Lap it up. When you hear it half a mile away, just honestly, it's absolutely fantastic.
Mhm.
Um, Apart from that, I would say, yeah, it's so easy. We always say this about just enjoy it, but you have to. I do think for a lot of
Oh,
people,
yeah.
it's a once in a lifetime.
Yeah,
And
massive.
for me, it's the pinnacle of running.
Yeah, yeah.
It might not be the best one out of all the majors, but it's the
No,
pinnacle of running to get to Boston.
yeah, yeah. Last question, because it's important because we started this trend. The merch,
Ooh, the
Boston.
merch.
How would you rate the merch of Boston?
Well, this is the thing. This year they have gone. Every year they've cycled different colours, and this
Mm.
year I think it's every 5 or 6 years. It's the traditional blue and yellow. So if you're lucky enough to be going out there this year,
I
you're
saw
going
it.
to
That's
get
why I
that
asked.
blue and yellow jacket, and you are going to be loving life. Because I was there the last couple. I've been there twice in the last 3
It's
years.
changing it.
It changed. I had a horrible grey one year. Last year's was nice. It was blue, but not that blue and yellow. And you see the
No,
volunteers in the blue and yellow, or you see the guys that have done it 20 times in blue and yellow jackets. You're like,
I
I'd
saw a
like one of
geezer running through Green Park the other day, and he was proper flexing in his
them.
Boston top.
Adidas do a good job on the merch. I do feel Adidas do a good job on the merch.
Personally, we try and rate the merch on Marathon Talk now. I would give it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I just think it's just to bowl about in that at the gym afterwards.
At the gym, yeah.
You know what I mean? When everyone's out there like pumping iron and flexing, and you just walk in there with a Boston Finishers top on, it's just like, yeah, how you left.
There's definitely, again, talking about Boston Marathon, there is something about that. Whenever we go into all these races all over the world on the planes, always someone gets on the plane with a Boston jacket on, and you notice it. You look at them, whether you think negatively about them or positively,
Yeah.
or you're jealous,
I
you
always
just
think
notice them.
I just acknowledge it. I just think, well done. Well done. So there we go. That's Boston. Right, bruv, I've just conscious of the time. What have you got for me? Because you were so
Literally, I've got.
excited about this stuff. So what have we
That's
got?
because, as you said, the marathon season has kicked in and it's
Oh, no,
kicked
it's
in
big time.
hard. It's everywhere now. It's two little news articles I want to go over there. I've got one really, really quick little game for you that you had for me last time that you absolutely smashed. Really quick one. First of all, really quickly, LA Marathon. See that week before last? So I want to ask your question, what you think, your opinion was, and obviously listeners, what they think. They were offering to give out the full medal at 18 miles because the heat was so extreme. You could walk off the course at 18 miles at a special point get your water, and get your medal. Would you take that?
No, I think that's bollocks. Safety first, 100%. Get all that. I've run the marathon in London twice when it was extremely hot. And did I feel like walking off at 18? Yeah, 100%. But I basically walked. Never forget the one in the real bad heat where people died. Never forget I had this conversation with this slightly older lady, and we was coming out of Canary Wharf. So it was about mile 19. We hadn't hit 20 yet. And we both looked at each other. We was both ruined. And I just said to her, I actually said to her, fuck this, I'm walking. And she looked at me and went, me too. And we basically, I walked with her for about half a mile, and I walked it in. I'll never forget as well, because one of the pacers who I knew well, he was saying to me, he was watching me behind, and he was just like, I wonder if I'm going to catch FORDY sort of thing, because he could see that I was run walking. But again, it was intentional, you know. I was close to, I think I got just under the 5 hour mark, around that, something like that. I just, like as I said to you, I was slogging out, and it was so hard. But I took the sensible option and was like, I just want to live. But I wouldn't have taken a medal at mile 18. No,
I think I agree. I think
that don't sit right with me.
No, they've got a lot of grief.
I understand why they do it, but
yeah,
it's not for me. But again, I'm a purist.
Yeah. No, I get that. The other one I'd like to talk about is just really quickly is we talk a lot about the majors because they sort of attract all the attention, but we've got to give some love to one of our home marathons. And I'm going to talk to you really quickly about the Manchester Marathon. And this year, upcoming, they've got the entry is 42,000 people, which is huge for a non-major marathon, and 21,000 people out of the 42, so exactly half, are doing the marathon distance for the very first time. What does that tell you about Manchester Marathon?
Well, I think actually going back to what I said at the start, I think it's the golden era of running as a pastime. I think that tells you the take up. What I tell you, what that does also, that annoys me, surprisingly, because I wish Manchester would take an October slot.
Yeah,
good shout. I would like to see a premium marathon event in the UK in the autumn. When London post-COVID was running October, it was mildly successful. A lot of it was because they were trying to clear numbers that were, put out by the pandemic. But I think it gives people another option in terms of marathons. I think it would be fantastic if Manchester moved to an October slot. They do the half marathon. It's the same guys that run that event. So I think that they should move it. And I think that the take up with them would be as great as it is now, if not better. I think there'd be a track to high quality of field as well, let's say. I just think it would be a really good event, and would actually give Manchester even more of a platform that it deserves, because it's a really top quality event. I've been up there. I was lucky enough. I had like a pass. I could go anywhere I wanted. I was like in the stands at the start, like literally. Never forget it. It was an unbelievable experience that they gave me when I was up there. It was fantastic. It was. And it really is a well-run, well-organised event. Course is okay from what I understand. I've done half of it. When I've done the half, I didn't see the other bit, but whatever. But I just think of that, by moving that to October, that would elevate it and give it the sort of, give it more kudos than it gets, I think, because it gets massively overshadowed by London, which is a shame. But that said, the take-up's great. The fact that we're getting half of these people for running their first one again shows the popularity of Manchester. I think it's a good thing because you've got a really strong running community up that way, younger generation in that neck of the woods as well, which is strong, up in Manchester. So I think that's fantastic. And yeah, I think it's good for running, that so many people are doing that, and they'll go back for more, because you always do. And come addicted to these things. But yeah, I just think Manchester's is going to be a great event. I just wish they would move. And actually, weirdly, right, I'm going to pivot. Shock. Did you see New York? The applications for New York, and somebody said, again, I don't know if it's right, but to get into New York this year, because the amount of people that applied, you had a 1% chance.
Well, listen to this. This is why we do this show, because I swear we read each other's minds. We talk about marathons because we love them. This is what your game is. It's going to take you 2 minutes. Basically, if we take the six, we take Boston out, so we're going to go the 6 world majors. So we put Sydney in there. Yeah. We're going to start with number 6, so the easiest one to get into. We're going to go up to the hardest one to get into. What would you say is number 6, the easiest? This is just purely on the lottery. So the ballot entry. What would you think the easiest one to get into sitting at number 6 is?
Berlin.
No.
Chicago?
No. A lot further afield.
Tokyo?
No.
Sydney?
Correct. Sydney is the easiest one. You got.
Is that because it's new? I'm guessing, and they've got probably.
It could be, or it could be the fact that a lot of the people who do the majors are American, and it's quite a long way, so maybe they don't go as much. But you've got a 22% chance on the ballot entry there, and so they come down to position number 5. Actually, number 5 and number 4 both are drawn, both the same.
Yes, it's got to be Berlin and Chicago. It's got to be
correct. Berlin and Chicago are 5 and 4, both 13% chance of getting in, and then so we go down to number 3, position 3,
London, not Tokyo.
Position 3 is Tokyo. You've got a 10% chance. You've got a 10% chance.
I'm sorry, I don't know anybody who's got that. I don't know anyone who's got Tokyo. Have you must do?
Yeah, me and the missus both got ballot Tokyo.
Shut up.
We did, and so did Toby. So Spigo the same year. We both did. All 3 of us did.
Through the ballot, not sports tours.
No,
I thought you did that through sports tours, mate.
No, I got the ballot. The only thing it was the year after COVID, and I think a lot of people had.
Oh yeah, they probably that was the year to do it, wasn't it?
Yeah, you're lucky with that. So we've got the top 2 now. So we've got position 2 and position 1. So
London, then New York.
It's actually the other way around. Just at the moment, London is still the hardest one to get into. You've got a 1% chance at London, and New York's a 1.5% chance of getting in the ballot. London had 1.1 million, and New York had 280,000, like you just explained a minute ago.
Yeah, because of the places. It's nuts, isn't it, when you think about it? Just shows you how, like, even with Manchester, bringing Manchester back into the convo, how oversubscribed these things are and how popular it is. It's I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but marathons are hard, people. Like, you've got to, I spoke about like what I've got to do to get like into Boston. Yeah, that's basically my whole like life. Like, I've got to commit so much time to that, right? Maybe people are underestimating them. I don't know, bruv. I don't know. Maybe that's a convo for another day. Like, are people now disrespecting the marathon distance because people are making it what would seem easier? I don't know.
Maybe for next time, he's trying to get some figures on the percentage of people that actually do complete it and the people that don't. I wonder what they stack up like on the different marathons.
Yeah, I think it's once you're there, it's it's hard, isn't it? You sort of just slog it out, don't you?
Mm.
But yeah, I don't know. I on one hand, it's an amazing thing. I love the fact that it's so popular. It's a pain in the ass to get into them. And Paul at Sports Stores is rubbing his hands. You know what I mean? But the thing is, the rest of them, on the other hand, you're like, but we always go back to the point, don't we? Especially with London, is like, unfortunately, we love London Marathon with passion, but they have got their system totally wrong in the way in which they do it, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. But that's, I think, out of those majors that you said there, I think they have the most stupid way of entry out of the majors, to be honest with you.
By the way, 1.1 million applying.
Yeah, it's great, but like, you're making it too easy. You're flooding it so no one gets a chance. It's just stupid. Just actually, it's a good way to finish, unless you've got something else. But literally, just very quickly, did you see that London's in that new European majors thing?
I did, yeah, I did.
What do you think of that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that some of the choices of marathons are interesting. I'm not sure the theory behind it. Maybe it's because people and the main thing would be that they've chose some of them because they're easier to get into. But then why put London in there? It's ridiculous.
I don't understand. If I'm London Marathon and I'm in a Abbott World Major, why I'm in that? I don't see, and it's not like they've got like a what's it load of international places to give out. Again, the only person who's winning is Paul. Like, in terms of, because he's the international tour operator, he's like, this is great.
Yeah.
But I don't see what's the upside for London of being part of it. What I like is that there's a European majors thing going on, and I think Manchester should have been, or Brighton, but probably Manchester because of the size of it versus Brighton. Manchester should have been in there rather than London.
But then is London like the Boston of the world majors in this? Because it's almost is it the golden ticket? Is the London the one that everyone's going to do the other ones and be like, I really want London, I need to get London. They have to have
but I think you're either a World Abbott major or you're like this Euro second tier. It's like you're either a Premier League player or you're Championship. And there's nothing wrong with being in the Championship. In fact, very good quality football in there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that gives people a really good, side hustle in terms of majors as you're going along this thing. It gives people an opportunity to travel and all this sort of stuff. But I think it dilutes London small. I don't see what their upside. Well, the money, obviously, but I don't see really for them. I think they didn't need to do it. They just needed to stay as a World Abbott major in that pinnacle. And that's no disrespect to Manchester, because I said I think Manchester's a fantastic event, but I think if Manchester was in October, part of that Euro series, now we're talking. You know what I mean?
But why leave Paris and Amsterdam out of the Euro series? Doesn't make sense for me. They're two
Paris
big
because they don't give out water.
That's new though. That might change. That might change after last Friday's podcast.
Because Paris, you can only run Paris if you're happy to get dehydrated. But Amsterdam's a funny one. Amsterdam's a real funny one. I think Amsterdam should have been in that list.
Agreed.
Because it's a fantastic event. I mean, they're all fantastic events.
Although the only thing I did think about is with that quickly was that so the person who's created this, they didn't want to almost create it because they're letting you have to do the marathons retrospectively. So maybe they didn't want to create it with the big ones like let's say Paris and Amsterdam, because some people might have been like, I've already done Paris, Amsterdam, London, I've done Munich. There you go, 2 more and I'm done. Maybe they want to prolong this a little bit to get people into new marathons rather than. Do you know?
Don't pick London. Don't put London in.
Yeah, London doesn't matter. London don't add up.
Yeah, no, I think I like the concept. I like the idea.
Yeah.
I think it's, as always, poorly executed. It's probably the same people who's doing that as the idiots who thought, let's not give people water bottles or cups at the Paris Marathon. It's probably the same idiots who thought that would be a brilliant idea. Right. Anyway, that's enough from us. The good thing is we actually spoke about Boston. We didn't go off on a complete tangent and spoke about anything else. But yes, if you enjoyed our marathon series, make sure you obviously subscribe to the YouTube channels, mine, Hayden's, and all that sort of stuff. And the long runs, it's got its own one of like a library back catalogue of all the stuff that goes out on there as well. If you've listened to this as a podcast, we appreciate it. Make sure you leave us a nice review, by the way. We get a lot of shit ones, so it'd be nice to have some good ones for a change. What? So yeah,
he's lying. Don't listen to him.
So give us gotta try and get him to do it. Give us a nice review. Share this with somebody who may be running Boston, or again, we're going to be doing this for London coming up. We've got a really good episode actually, and it's unrelated in terms of marathon talk, but I do want to give it a bit of a heads up. We've got a series that we run. So we run various series through the podcast that we do. We've got like a half marathon episode that we do. And one of what we started this year was we call it Becoming a Better Runner. And we're talking specifically at the moment about the London Marathon, people training for the London Marathon. We try and dive in. When we finish the London Marathon scene, we'll then move on to like 10Ks and halves through the summer. But anyway, the plug I want to give is the fact on the 27th of March, we've got a podcast coming out. If you're running London Marathon or you know somebody who's running the London Marathon, you need to get them to watch or listen to that. It's like an encyclopedia. I've run London 6 or 7 times now, and I basically impart all my wisdom on you. So like the fastest way to run it, we do the famous course guide, where to put spectators, what time to get to your corral, what the difference is in terms of the starts, what's it like running blue, what's it like running red, all that kind of stuff through my experience of running it for so many years. I give you that, and it's really, really some really good stuff in there, okay? It comes out on the 27th. The last Friday of the month is when these episodes come out. They're Becoming a Better Runner. So make sure you share that with somebody when it does come out, because actually, I
think this is coming out. I was going to say this is coming out after that.
That's how genius I am. Yeah, I've just spent but here's the thing: I'm going to rescue us. because they will be listening to this, and it will be before London. So you can now go and get that.
Go back.
You're welcome.
That's a great shout. Can I also say quickly as well, if you are in Boston and you listen to this, drop in the comments your bib number if you're running, because I'm going to be there this year and I'll be there cheering people on. I specifically want to give a big shout out to a lady in the club called Caroline Higg, who will be getting her 6 stars at Boston this year.
Wow.
And also Lady Shireen, who runs our Camberley satellite. She got the Abbott's Major ballot.
Unbelievable.
So unbelievable. So good luck to both of them. And if you're out there, I would definitely see you out there running.
Yeah, make sure you drop a your bib in the comments or whatever, or you could put it in the review section as you leave a nice review. Well, okay, right, that's it from us. Thanks very much. We will be back. I say in time for London for a London special. We'll be talking about that. But yeah, that's it from me. We shall see you all later.